Willys engine build, the L134, the Jeep engine. We're going to start by fitting the oil bungs back into the oil galleries. We've removed them to clean out the oil galleries. I'll probably fit them with a little bit of eagle head just to make sure they're nice and oil tight fit. And then the next job will be to remove the old cam bearing, put in a new cam bearing and test fit our new old stock camshaft, which is in there, and see how that turns. We might have to shave a tiny bit off the new bearing. Get that turning nicely. There's only one bearing on the camshaft, even though there's 4 journals. The other 3 just ran in the block. Might have to take a little bit off this, like I said, get it turning nicely. Once we have that turning nicely, then we can concentrate on the valve train and fitting the rest of the valve train. So that's the plan for today. The eagle eye among you might have noticed something odd about this engine, so I have something to chat to you about that. We'll have a closer look at the front of this here, and I'll tell you what it is we're looking at. It's actually a post-war engine, which means originally it would have had timing gears fitted. So you have 2 gears mating together here. Previous engines before that had a chain and sprocket fitted. And if you look closely here, you can see that the previous owners of this engine, or the previous mechanic of this engine, reverse engineered this. So it was originally for timing gears, but they reverse engineered it to take a chain and sprocket. You can see they've blocked the holes here, which would have had the truss bearing on here, and they blocked off the oil gallery hole here for oiling the gears. They weren't necessary. The block is the same. It's quintessentially the same block as the wartime engine. They just changed these components, which makes sense. They did away with the chain and opted for gears. Yeah, why they did that, I imagine the Americans watching this would probably think rather confusingly why they went to that trouble to change it over. But over here in Europe, wartime stock is much easier to get a hold of and cheaper. If we want to get a proper camshaft for this, or a timing gear, you might have to go to the States. Not so much now, but certainly 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you'd have had to go to the States for those parts, and that makes them expensive. So they probably opted for this as a cheaper option for doing the build the last time this engine was built. But I just thought that was quite interesting, the way that it's professionally done. There's actually nothing wrong with that. You know, you can see here they dot punched a bolt. They put in a bolt here, dot punched it so it wouldn't unscrew because the plate is over them. But yeah, it's interesting just that they went to that trouble. So yeah, we're not going to change this now or anything. We're just going to go ahead and put in what was in it before, which is a chain and sprocket. That's the old bearing. This is the new bearing, new old stock. So I'll give this a clean, but that's the oil gallery hole there for lubricating the bearing. And that has to line up with that hole there. So it has to go in like that. And you have to get it so that that lines up. If it doesn't line up, you're in trouble. So I have a little trick for doing that, and I'll show you what that is. I'm going to use this straight edge here, find roughly the centre of the hole there. That gives us the mark here. Very careful not to damage the bearing. Do the same here. Now, just make sure that's nice and clean. So then we take the mark here and we line the two marks up. And that should give us the hole in the right place. So the trick is to try and tap this in straight. There. Perfect. Happy days. So this stuff, this grease on it, cosmoline I think it's called. I might have that pronounced wrong. Which is put on here to preserve it, and it does a great job. But it's horrible. There's lots of videos out there on how people remove this grease. My favourite way to remove this is a little bit of heat. It doesn't take a lot. You don't have to put a lot of heat into this now just to get this off. It'll melt off it like candle wax, and then a good few rags and we'll clean it up. So let's get cracking with that. I'll get the rough stuff off first and then get back to it. There we go. GPW. A Ford part. Thought for a minute there it was going to be French. Maybe it was wrapped in France. Nearly there. It's important to make sure you get all of this grease out of the holes and the bolt holes and stuff in the end. So heating it is actually a very good way of doing that. There you can see it all coming out, look. See there's still quite a bit of it there, look. So that's most of the grease off. You can see it all on me bit of waste timber there. Still a little bit in it, but yeah, it's mostly out now. So the next thing I'll do now is I'll give that a bit of a clean with some cleaning fluid, and that'll dissolve the last bit of film of grease on it. Now, that's it. 1944 Ford camshaft. It's very nice. So we're going to fit the camshaft now into the engine. A few things to note here. Alright, for those who don't know, it's called a camshaft. These are the cams, this lobe here. And as the shaft rotates, this lobe makes contact with the tappets and forces the tappet up, which then in turn opens the valve. These are your bearing journals, 4 of them. This is the front one, which will run on our new bearing. And these 3 run, as I said before, in the block. And then this little fellow here, that's the gear for driving the oil pump and subsequently the distributor. So that's basically it. So that's why it's called a camshaft, because it has these cams on it here, and they're cams. We need to make sure that the bearings it's going to run in are nice and clean, and the journals are nice and clean, so we're going to do that. And when I've got it in position then, I'm going to fit the thrust washer, which will go on here, and the gear as well, and that'll give us the position that the shaft is going to run in, because there will be a little bit of movement in the shaft laterally like that, in and out moving, not very little, but we want it to sit where it's going to sit when it's moving, and we'll see when we rotate it then, we'll see if there's any stiffness in it or anything like that. It's important to do this test fit with nothing else in, because you just want to be feeling how it runs in the bearings when it's in there. So let's go ahead and start that. We'll start by cleaning the stuff up. Now we'll just put a little bit of engine oil in there to lubricate everything. A little bit of oil there. Now we have to feed this through nice and gently. We don't want to damage or scratch our bearing if we can. go. Now, you can see there's only one way to fit these, because the holes are unevenly spaced. That one. So we don't have to tighten these, torque these down now, and this is not the final. In fact, we'll just put 2 in. 2 will be plenty for what we're going to do. There, so we just want to put them home, and that has the shaft riding where you want it. And then we just want to turn it around and see what that feels like. That feels lovely. It's just very, very slight resistance. That's actually perfect. So the next thing we'll do is we have to fit the tappets. The tappets go in, 8 of them in here inside in the engine. The camshaft acts on the tappets, so we have to fit those, and then we'll fit the camshaft properly. So these are the tappets. New old stock again. There's a part number on there, and it says Tappet. So there's 2 tappets in each of these boxes, wrapped up together. Look at that. G503 Willys 63704. It's a part number. I can't read it all. For GPW, 2 tappets. Oh, amount 2 tappets. Valve standard. I sure knew how to package them. I'd say there's some of these sitting at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, having been sunk by German U-boats. And they're probably absolutely perfect. So there we go. Oh, they're sticky. So there, I cleaned this one up. And that's one to be unwrapped and cleaned. Again, probably not seen the light of day since 1944. Oh, not quite as old as that. 4th of the 11th, 85. And then we have the adjusters here. So we're going all out with this engine. We have new tappets, new adjusters, new old stock adjusters. There's a bit of surface, rust on that. I'll clean them all up. That fits into the tappet there. And then that acts on the valve stem to open and close it. Alright, so I'm going to clean all these up and we'll get back to you. Take a look at this one. The part has actually been wired on. Look at that. So there you go. There you go. Right, so the next wee job now is to fit our adjusters into the top of our tappets. So they just thread in. There's a split on them there which is designed to widen it so that it's a tight fit going in. So they won't thread in by hand as you'd expect. You have to thread them in like that. They shouldn't be overly tight, but they'll be a bit. Right, so there's your adjuster threaded in. I've threaded it all the way in, and we can adjust that back out then when it comes time. So that's it there. We're going to fit the tappets now. Now we'll fit the camshaft for the last time, hopefully. I'm going to put a bit of grease on. It's because this engine will go up for sale when we're done, and the chances are it could be a while before the engine is actually run up. I'm guaranteeing that it'll still be lubricated for the first initial startup. You put oil on there or something like that, chances are it'll run dry on you. It'll dry out over time, and then it might not be lubricated for the first startup. There are other substances you can use for products that are available for this, assemble lubrication stuff. But I find grease works fine. There, that's that. Right, so I'm going to fit the valve springs in place now. And when you look at the valve springs, they're tighter up here than they are down here. You can see their coils are closer together. So that goes to the top. And we're just going to fit them in that there. Now, there, that's the springs in.